everyone, welcome to the Hickson Diaries. I'm so excited to kick off something special with you all. A brand new series counting down to Christmas with 12 faves of Britain. Over the next 12 days, I'll be sharing a different listicle each day, all focused on what I believe makes Britain so unique and so special. Let's jump into today's list, my top 12 favorite iconic sites in the UK. As we were driving, we just happened to see a sign that the HMS Britannia was docked nearby, so we decided to take a little bit of a sideline to see if we can get a view. As I learned more and more about Queen Elizabeth II's reign, I've come to understand why the Britannia was so important. It really is considered to be a symbol of continuity, as well as a symbol of grace that was pretty prevalent throughout her reign. Even though I wasn't able to spend a ton of time there, I did leave with a newfound respect for the ship as a whole, just the size and elegance of it, but also the role that it played in the monarchy, and also in addition to the role that it has played in the history of the UK. It was definitely an unexpected gem, and I'm very, very grateful that we came across it when we did, because I don't know that I would have seen it otherwise. Seeing how close it really is to Europe and realizing that, you know, this channel has such a significant position in history. And when you stand there and you actually are seeing it in person, you have a connection to the history and everything that has happened on both sides of the channel. And you know, the events that eventually shaped the world. Just to be able to stand where so many iconic people have stood, where so many people have risked their lives, humbling and sort of empowering at the same time. Rochester has so much charm, and when you go to Rochester, it really does kind of feel like you're stepping back in time a little bit. But every single corner of the city seems to have its own little story and its own little piece of history. This is the city where Charles Dickens spent a lot of time in his childhood at, and also has found a lot of inspiration for many of his novels. And that to me is so cool. Even besides the Dickens stuff, I mean, High Street is just delightful, and it's got all of these cool little quaint shops and ancient pubs. There's tons of architecture, and for me it seems to be the quintessential version of what I envisioned England to be, outside of London, of course. So this town is very cute, and I actually never even heard of it until the child suggested it. She is a bookworm, and this place is a book lover's paradise. There are so many bookshops, and they're all kind of quirky, but really, really interesting, and lots to choose from. Besides the bookshops, there's a bunch of really cute little boutiques and cafes and restaurants that are really, really delicious and have great atmosphere. It's a really, really cute town, and I enjoyed myself a lot more than I thought I would. Nottingham. Now, I have mentioned this in previous videos because it just is something that just stands out to me. Watching all of the movies as a kid, reading the books, seeing the cartoons, and, you know, bonding with my dad over the whole story, it just has a special place in my heart. Cool little tribute to this legend, you know, that robbed from the rich and gave to the poor and helped to stand up for injustice and those who, you know, couldn't stand up for themselves. And I guess being an American, I love a good underdog story. And so this definitely speaks to me in many, many ways. This is very specific and personal to me, mainly because the memory that I ended up making when I saw it. Now, it wasn't the first time that I saw it, because I have been to London before. But the first time that we brought our daughter to London, she really wanted to see St. Paul's because she was a huge fan of Mary Poppins. And obviously there's a whole scene around the bird cellar and St. Paul's Cathedral. It was really early morning light and we were climbing up the tops of the steps to see, you know, the view and everything. And we ended up just sitting on the steps to take it all in. And my daughter and I just very spontaneously started singing Feed the Birds from Mary Poppins. And as the sun was coming up and you could see the Thames and there's the hustle and bustle of everyday life going by, people going to their work and all of that. And it was just a really, really cool moment. It's not something I probably would have stopped and done if I hadn't had her with me, but I'm so, so glad I did because that memory will stay with me for the rest of my life. I hope it'll stay with her too. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, I was never really a huge Beatles fan, but when I was in college as a music major, I had to study them for like a whole semester, and just their influence and how they structured everything. It really gave me a better understanding and appreciation for the influence that they had on not just music, but on culture and on the production, and how they constructed all of their music and how innovative it really was in such a short amount of time as well. So when I went to Liverpool, I had to see the Cavern. This, of course, is the iconic venue where they first performed, and when you walk in, it's extremely tight. It is not big at all. And I could just imagine a bunch of people just being packed in there like sardines, drinking, enjoying the music, dancing, screaming, having fun. Just a really, really incredible moment for me as a music lover, as a music student, and it really touched me in a much deeper way. So for me, the Cavern is a very sacred spot. And if anyone is a music lover or studies music or is a Beatles fan, you definitely have to go and take a trip up to Liverpool. A few people mentioned if you can make the trek, because it's really far north, the Isle of Skye is just exquisite. And they were absolutely right. Kind of like stepping into a postcard. And I know that sounds really cheesy and corny, but that's what it felt like. It's very untouched, it seems like, in a lot of ways. It's got stunning landscapes, really dramatic cliffs, being able to see a lot of iconic sites as well, like the Neast Point Lighthouse, I think that's what it's called, the ferry pools, Old Man's Store. They just make these enormous impressions on the landscape, and they can't be denied. And they're all very unique and different in their own ways and have their own individual staple on not just the landscape, but the culture. There's a sense of timelessness about that island that I didn't really understand, to be honest with you, until I started to just reminisce about it a little bit more. Definitely something I recommend seeing. Someone told us it is something that could not be missed. It's exactly how they described it to me, and I couldn't agree with that more. It was a very unforgettable experience. There were a lot of moments where that honestly took my breath away. One of them was seeing the crown jewels. Now, of course, you see it pictures of, you see it on TV, you know what it is, but seeing it in person is extremely it just leaves you in awe. I don't know how else to explain it. Jewels are just beyond stunning, like beyond stunning, and it kind of left me speechless in some ways. And then, of course, going to Trader's Gate. That was a completely other end of the spectrum, but it did make me think about like all the people that were imprisoned there and some of the people who did lose their heads and got mounted on the gate. And someone did jokingly say that since I'm an American, I probably should be beheaded and placed on Trader's Gate. Really, really interesting to see, and it was really profound to me in a way that I didn't expect. The final thing that really touched me from the Tower of London was when I watched the black and white reel of Queen Elizabeth II getting coronated. Or crowned. I'm not sure which one is right. She was so young and she looked really, really nervous, and my heart kind of went out to her. Just knowing the monumental role that she was about to play, being the longest reigning monarch, and really all of her influence in shaping modern England and Britain as a whole and the Commonwealth. It was really moving to me. I didn't expect for it to affect me the way it did, but it was extremely moving, and I did get a bit emotional watching it. So those moments will always make me feel as though the Tower of London was totally worth the money. Now, experiencing the London Underground as an American, especially one from the Northeast, you can't help but compare it to the subway system in New York City and Philadelphia. And the first thing that you're struck by is how clean it is comparatively, also how easy it is to navigate comparatively, and how efficient it is. The other thing about the Underground for me is every time I ride it, I can't help but think of the deeper history that it had as the shelter for thousands of Londoners during World War II and the Blitz. I always think about the idea that there's people just huddled in corners or up against the wall, just trying to survive, trying to stay warm, trying to stay safe, wondering what the rest of the day or the next day is going to bring them. It forces me kind of to be really self-reflective and appreciative of not just the structure, but also the community and the resilience and strength and survival mode that they banded together to preserve and keep going. And ultimately that resilience and that survival instinct won out. And that's just an amazing story to me. And there's not a whole lot of that in America on such an iconic level anyway. I've mentioned this in previous videos as well because it is my favorite castle that I've visited so far anyway. But I just remember walking up the Royal Mile, which is cobblestone streets, lots of charming shops, historic buildings, cozy pubs, and kind of a windy road, and it's up a hill. It leads you straight to Edinburgh Castle. And the castle is perched really high on Castle Rock, and it makes the climb really, really worth it. Amazing views of the city, obviously. There's a mix of like medieval and modern architecture, and all of it is just absolutely breathtaking. When you're there, you feel like you're kind of experiencing that fascinating history and that you're a little bit a part of it as well. So those things combined with the views and all of the history and just the unique structure of the castle makes it my favorite castle that I visited so far. And it definitely deserved the spot of number 2 on my favorite iconic sites here in the UK. My absolute favorite iconic site that I've ever seen here in the UK, it's Big Ben in Parliament in London. So seeing the Parliament building and seeing Big Ben for the first time, it was a very surreal moment for me. I remember I was on the other side of the Thames and I was kind of seeing it, you know, behind the bridge, and it was the first time, and I just stopped and looked at it, and it felt like I was looking at a picture for a few minutes, to be honest with you, because that's the only other way I'd ever seen it. And as I stopped and really took it in, I realized I'm in London. I'm actually here. I can see it in person with my own eyes. It's not a dream. It's not a picture. It's not a movie. It's real. It's really right in front of me. And I'm in the heart of such an incredible city, such an incredible country, as part of such an incredible kingdom and commonwealth. And it has been here for thousands of years. Even now, every time I visit London, every time that I see Big Ben and Parliament, I do get a little bit giddy because it reminds me of that moment where I realized, my gosh, I'm living a dream of traveling outside of the United States and seeing an iconic city that I fell in love with in movies. And it makes me feel like I can still pursue my dreams and that they're still attainable to me. It gives me that sense of adventure that, you know, sometimes gets lost in the everyday hustle and bustle of life. but also a sense of hope for the future. That's why Big Ben and Parliament are the most important British icons to me. There you have it, guys, my 12 favorite British icons of all time so far. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you think I left something off the list, or if you disagree with me on any of that stuff, just leave a little note in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell if you haven't already, because you don't want to miss the next episode of my series of my 12 faves of Britain. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.